Hey everybody, we are going live here with another version of Todoist office hours. And we got the Periscope going now, so there we go. All right. So welcome everybody. We've got Gabriella here with us, who's going to be talking about time blocking. Excuse me while this is not, let's see here. 1 second, we're off to a rough start. Technology. All right. Anyway, so we've got Gabriella here. She is going to be talking about time blocking, and we're super excited. She's one of our Todoist ambassadors, and is also someone that knows a ton about productivity as a whole, helping people organize their days, their calendars, and all in all, just become more productive and organized in life. So she's got a ton of great content for us. We're excited to have her here. I'm going to let her kind of introduce herself and tell you guys a little bit more about what she does, and let her take it from here. Just remember that you can drop questions in the chat if you're watching on Crowdcast. So put that in the chat, or also there's an ask a question function at the bottom, which is a little bit easier for me as I'm hosting this, but whatever's best for you. We'll have about 10 or 15 minutes at the end of this to do live Q&A. So we'll make sure to get to your questions as best we can at the end. My name's Chase. If you haven't tuned into this before, I'm the head of business development here at Todoist, and hosting today's Todoist office hours. So super excited to have Gabriella here. I'll turn it over to you. Thanks for being here, Gabriella.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thanks for having me here. And thanks for everyone that is watching right now. It's gonna be, I brought some examples for us to discuss a theme that I like a lot. And I've been teaching about productivity and organization for 7 years. And as Chase already said, I am a productivity consultant, and I help people on how to be more organized using digital tools like Todoist. So it's a pleasure to be here and show a little bit what I've been talking with my clients, my students, and also to take a little bit of this boards view so we can use and enjoy it like a little board in our system. So thanks for having me here.
Yeah, that's cool. You're gonna actually show us like traditional Todoist view and also a boards view, right?
Exactly. Cool. Like I've been telling my students that I really like this option for boards because it gives us more opportunities to have filters in Todoist for different kinds of tasks, because we have like things, appointments, or tasks, or projects, or even habits that we want to follow in a system. And I am one of these people that likes to have different kind of tools for specific needs, and I like to have boundaries between my apps. Like I like to do this for my lists, I like to do this for my habits, my checklists. I really like Evernote for notes and so on. But I really think with the boards view, we can get more of the platform, because we can use for content produce, we can use for projects, we can use for Kanban, and it gives more possibilities. So the examples that I came like to show you today, it's about that with boards. Cool. So I really like it.
That's great. I'm excited to see it. So the general theme of the presentation today is around time blocking. Could you just like do a quick overview of what is time blocking for somebody that might not know exactly what it is? And I will just preface that by saying I adopted time blocking, my own sort of tailored version for myself of it in the last year and a half. And it was a big game changer for me. So I'm excited to hear from more of a pro how you would define it and kind of give people here a little bit of an overview.
Well, I am a big fan of time blocking, because what is time blocking? Time blocking is when you have a lot of tasks with similar nature that happens with a similar context, and you kind of batch all those tasks together and do it in a limited block of time. So for example, if you need to reply emails DMs on Instagram and send proposals. All of those things you do online using your email or WhatsApp or SMS. So it's kind of the same nature of tasks. So why not put everything together and in 1 hour respond everything that you need to give an answer? Because otherwise, if you don't do that, you will spend all your day doing the same thing, that is replying messages. So the point of time block is to do a task badging when you group together similar tasks. And with that, you have a block of time dedicated to just achieve a specific goal. So you have a time block, for example, your morning routine, that you have a lot of habits like take vitamins or water the plants or give food to the dog and things like that, that if you included like all those things in your list can be overwhelming. So when you do with time block, you divide your days into blocks. Like for people who use GTD, getting things done, it's the contest. So you can see time blocks as the contest that you do your tasks. Like a time block for morning routine, a time block for answers, a time block for deep work, a time block for creation. And when you do that, you have less procrastination because you already schedule a time to do that. And when you have a checklist on your Todoist, it's easier because you block that time. It can be like on Google, it can be on your iCall or something like that. But after you have these on Todoist with the tasks that you need to do when you block that time, then it's perfect. So time blocking is dividing the day into blocks. And in each block, you have similar tasks together to complete an objective. That's what it is.
And do you advocate for setting up like recurring time blocks? Like for instance, every Monday from 9 to 11 a.m. is my personal home tasks or something like this? Well, or is it like more like ad hoc?
I think it depends of how the person sees it, because we have different ways of using time block, and that's what I brought here. Let's open Todoist, right? It's going to be easier for us to see. So
yeah, let's visualize it.
Let's visualize. So what I have here is a demo account. So let's hide his. Okay. So what I have here is a demo account, and be aware of the Portuguese and English mix, because sometimes like my accent, it is like So here I have a demo account, and what we are seeing here is that I have time blocking as a project, also day theming as a project, and time boxing as a project. So those are the different ways as you can use time blocking for organization. So what I'm going to show is the different ways for different purposes and how you can use that on Todoist. So let's start with routines. Routines are something that a lot of people want to follow up and want to also create new routines. So if you imagine all of those like time blocks, and let's give an example here. For Miracle Morning, you have a checklist inside, and I normally like to use those subtasks without the complete option, like it's a non-complete task, because with that is just a checklist. I don't need to worry to mark all the points. It's just to check if I am doing everything during this block, and sometimes I don't. Like when I am traveling, I won't do, for example, read my horoscope because I'm going to do another thing. But there is some things that I care about following every day, like doing my hygiene, clean, and journaling, things like that. So you have a checklist. And here I included time as recurrent tasks, because when you are, that's what I like on Todoist, to create routines, because Todoist has all the elements that you need to create habits and routines. Like we need to create habits, we need a trigger, we need a routine, and we need a reward. And Todoist can give all of this, because you
Can you repeat those for us? Repeat those for us. So that...
Exactly. And then you have all of those, because with the date, the recurrent date can be the trigger, right? Awesome. So use it as a trigger. And the routine is exactly the checklists as subtasks that you have. So when you included that, you have the trigger. You already selected that time block on your calendar. And when you're going to do it, you have all the steps that you need to not procrastinate that, because that's the problem. When you don't have the next steps, it's easier to go to Instagram. It's easier to go to email, right?
Totally.
So when you have the checklist, you avoid this procrastination hole that we can get through. So here you have the trigger as the recurrent task. So replying your question, that's what I do, because you need to have a trigger, especially if you are creating a habit. And that's how we used to do it for. And also you have the reward, right? Because when I click, there's the reward. I already did the task. So Todoist gives you everything that you need to create those habits. So for routines that you need to create, I really like the idea to use recurrent tasks and use the task as the time block and the subtasks as the checklist you have inside that time block. Why to do that? Because imagine if you put all those tasks as a single task appearing in your to-do list. Could be overwhelming, right? If you open your to-do list and you have 4 tasks, it's okay. But imagine having all of this in your to-do list. Then it's overwhelmed. So what I recommend is to use the subtasks inside, and those subtasks are normally the habits that you want to create. And when you think about routines, when you think about habits, you always think about the sequence. So I really like the idea of using time blocks on Todoist, and especially now that we have those sections to use as lists. And you can have here I included as daily routines, weekly routines, monthly routines, and seasonal routines. I personally use this. I really love that. You like it? I really like it. I think for my personal account, I don't use as a completed task. I put it as a non-completed task because it's already a habit for me. I don't need a trigger anymore because it's already a habit. So when Todoist did the job, you don't need to complete a task anymore because it's a habit. Right. So that's the point. So this is one way that you can use time blocks. Organizing this by the frequency using recurrent tasks. And also, if you are like me and you don't use the complete task anymore, what I like to do is use as a tag, as a label. And I included here daily routine, for example, or weekly routine or monthly routine. And what it's cool is that Todoist give you the possibility of seeing the things like you want in your home page, right? So over here, in general, I went to the start page and changed to daily routine. And then when I open my home page, what I have is all my daily routines.
That's great.
So
this is how you start your day?
This is how I start my day, because I don't go directly to my today view. I go to my homepage and I have already all the routines that I need to get through my day with excellence. So
that's a great way to start your day. I mean, you're setting yourself up for success, but right away, the first thing you see is this short list of very high impact initiatives for yourself that you've created. And then you end up with just starting the day off on the right foot. If you start every day like that, imagine how the week will go.
Exactly. That's the point. Because when you have a to-do list that has 15 tasks, it's going to be hard to prioritize. So when you do this filter using labels or using filter and putting in your homepage, when you open your task manager, you have exactly what you need to prioritize. So no procrastination, and you follow what you need to do. So this is one way of using the time blocks as task batching and blocking, grouping together similar tasks, and also filter to show in your homepage as a priority.
Is there like a rough, like when you think about a time block, do you have a amount of time in mind, like, or a range of time? Like, is 30 minutes too small? Is 4 hours too long? Like, what is your thoughts on this?
Well, I think we are very connected on this because that's my second example.
Perfect segue.
Yeah, we are totally in the same place. So when I think about workflow, it's good to have this limit of time. We call this time boxing. And when you have a time boxing, you are setting a limit of how much time you will dedicate to a specific task. And what I like to do is to work with Pomodoros. When you have one Pomodoro, means 25, I was speaking in Portuguese.
It happens.
25 minutes and 5 minutes resting. And you have 4 Pomodoros. It's a total of 2 hours. And I think blocks of 2 hours are like fine to program what you need to do. So this is the example that I brought here is using day theming and the other one using time boxing, but it's the same purpose, like limited time for specific tasks. And for this example of workflow, I also have a list for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But what we're gonna include inside is, I saw this in a client's system and I really like it because it's like 3 Pomodoros. That's what it is,
yeah.
What it means. So like,
and actually, Gabriella, let me just chime in real quick for anybody that doesn't know what the Pomodoro method is. It's very simply just, there are lots of tools out there that you can use, many of which integrate with Todoist to basically give you a set amount of time, exactly like Gabriella is saying, but basically to give you a set amount of time to work on something and then to rest or take a break from it. And it's to keep you on track so that you're not like spending hours on one task, which I'm totally guilty of sometimes. But we have tools, like external tools that integrate with Todoist to help you with this on certain tasks. So I'll turn it back to you.
There is Pomodoro that is on Todoist. You can use on Todoist, and it's super nice. Helps you to focus, and it's impressive how much you can do in only 25 minutes.
Yeah, it is.
So I saw that in a client system and I really like it because she was planning with Pomodoros. Like I want to do this task on 2 Pomodoros, 3 Pomodoros, and she used as a visual way of seeing it. And the point here is already to program. Of course, when you are building a system, you don't have this idea of how much time you use it. So that's why I think using Pomodoro with Todoist is so helpful, because you start to know how much time you really need to complete this task. And after you get this information, you can plan it using it. And then it's going to be easy in your workflow. So this example over here is the same thing. Like I put it here, a content that it's made in 3 Pomodoros, and there is a recurrent task always on Monday to repeat to me. And of course, I can include here subtasks to follow this in the best way. And another way is planning, like a Kanban board, a classic Kanban board, like planned, in progress, developing, testing, reviewing, all those lists, and you can simply move. I really like this, and I was expecting that on Todoist, especially to see the status. I think helps it. It's different. Like I think tasks, the list view helps us to understand the volume of the tasks that we have. And this helps us to understand the distribution. It's more than abstract, but it helps us with this. So in this case, it's the same. I included here a different option of label, but it's a sprint of 4 hours or a sprint of 2 hours. So I really like to use labels to select all those contests. And it can be for local, people, area of focus, like office, deep work, marketing, research, organization, planning, and also period of time, like those sprints over here, or Pomodoros, like the ones that you can plan. So using time boxing to organize this helps you to set a limit. And when you set a limit, if you have like perfectionists over here, it's very good for perfectionists, because for perfectionists, if you have more time, you're going to find a lot of things to include it in this. When
You'll fill that time, right?
Yeah. It's impressive how much days you can include it if you have more time. So if you select and do this, no procrastination, and also you can escape this risk of being perfectionist and not giving what you need to give.
Yeah, it's really cool. And so in this case, your like Sprint 2 is a label, correct?
It's a label, exactly.
Yeah.
And I included Sprint 2 for 2 hours or 4 for 4 hours, because those kind of tests, sometimes you have things inside and then the sprint is not going to be concluded in that block, but you already have it marked and you know that you're going to have, sometimes for my own personal tasks, I like to do this. In the task that I concluded, I just go to the task. Oh, wait. Like this. I just included to the task and include like 1 hour.
Okay, and your subtasks.
And the subtasks, because then I know how much I already did.
Very cool.
And I have like the estimation time for the rest of the process. So I really like the idea of having the time boxing and also the day theming, because the day theming helps you a lot, because when you dedicate each day of a week to a specific area of focus, especially if you are a content producer or you are in different areas of your business, or if you are a student and you are learning something new and you select a day to do those, you can even do on the first Monday, I will do those kind of tasks. In the second Monday, I will do those kind of tasks. So if you mix all this time badging with day theming and with time boxing, you are using the best of time blocking.
the best of 3 worlds all together.
Exactly. And you can do it all on Todoist. That's the best.
So like do you have coming back to the reoccurring idea, do you have like a reoccurring schedule for your Mondays, your Tuesdays? Do you do that daily or weekly, or how does that work?
For me personally, I like to divide my week by areas, and I do 4-day work week. I work from Monday to Thursday. So each day of the week, I work for a different area of focus. Like on Monday, I work for marketing, creating content, recording videos, writing, things like that. And Tuesday, it's my office day. And in the office day, I do proposals, I organize financial things, all those business things that you need to do when you are in the office. That is not the best thing, but it's not that you don't like. But reunited everything in one day makes it less stressful. So I do everything on Tuesday. And Wednesdays and Thursday separate for meetings and also classes and things like that, because I prefer to have only 2 days to do that all together, because my Monday and my Tuesdays, I don't have classes or anything, and then I can focus better. So using this really helps me, because for Monday to Thursday, I have this focus. And for Friday, I focus only in personal projects for myself, studies, to go to the dentist or things like that. Saturday is a day that I am off, is my digital Sabbath. Everything is off during Saturday. And Sunday is a day that I use to plan my meals, plan the week, plan things like that. So when I receive a task and a person say, oh, let's schedule a meeting, I know, next Wednesday. I need you to give me a proposal. Next Tuesday. I need to create this Monday. I don't stop what I am doing to do a thing that it's coming to my inbox. I just put in the next day theming, and I'll be happy with that.
This is such a, like, on a broader scale. I mean, even beyond just day theming, which I think is just such an awesome way to just big picture strategize. But just the concept of, we're being pinged from so many different directions these days. I mean, whether you're using, Twist or Slack or whatever, like your team communication tool, all your social media accounts, your email accounts. I mean, the list goes on and on and on, and we're just getting distracted constantly. And that that context switching is something that kills people's productivity. And I think all these concepts that you're talking about, like on a sort of an underlying theme to them, is it removes that distraction. You don't have to think about it when you say, okay, yeah, proposal next Tuesday, done. And now it's off your mind. You continue the momentum that you've built up, because to keep going, to restart momentum once you've stopped it is really difficult to do. And that's what crushes people's productivity.
And when you lose your focus, you need at least 20, 25 to get back to what you were doing. So imagine all those notifications and things coming into your inbox and stopping every time. Like normally in an office, an employee, it's interrupted more than 10 times in 1 hour. So it means that this person doesn't do anything.
Yeah, exactly. I read, there's some studies out there. I gave a presentation the other day where I referenced this stat that like the average person going into an office every day clocks in for 8 hours and usually works a little under 3 hours a day. So more than, 60% of your day is spent doing what? And a lot of it is the distraction and the pings and the restarting. Yeah. So it's productivity killer. And if you can take control of it and take back ownership of your planning, I think you can change that momentum quite a bit.
Exactly. And I really like a tool like Todoist for that, because it comes with an inbox. And when you are interrupted with something, and even if you are in an office, like someone asks you to send a document or to reply something, you don't need to stop. Just put it in your inbox and process it once in a day, twice in a day, and put it already in a place that you have. Like in your organization, we used to say like everything needs a place. If you don't have a place, it will be disorganized. Like if you don't have a place to put your keys when you arrive at home, those keys is going to be in your desk or in a couch or whatever. And then it's going to be hard to find it. And when you have an inbox and you process it and put in the exactly place, in the day that you're going to do it, in the block that you're going to do it, it's going to be easier. And also for Todoist, we have this option to integrate our tasks with the calendar, with Google Calendar. And if you have this already blocked in your calendar, you know that is a reserved space to do what you planned. So it's a good combination of doing the work. And this part of selecting a day for meetings is very important, because I feel meetings and all those things like sync communication that you do, it gets very distractive, especially right now that everyone is working from home, right? So those pings have increased for sure. Exactly. So we need to take care about these distractions, and I think time blocking is a good way to do that.
Very good, very good. Do you? I know we're getting up close to the top of the half hour here. Do you have more? Any more you want to show us, or should we jump to Q&A?
Let's go to the Q&A. Like what I wanted to show you is all those possibilities with using labels. And of course, when you want to combine those with filters, you have infinite ways of finding solutions to what you need. So what I want to say for everyone that is watching this now is that time block is not something that happens because you already include the task on this. It happens when you are maintaining. So it's very important for you to have a time block like this one, review. Because if you don't have a place for that in your day or in your week or in your month, your system is going to be abandoned. So it doesn't matter if it is on Todoist, if it is on Google Calendar, if it is on another platform. If you don't have this special time block of reviewing, it will die. So it's the most important time block for organization. It doesn't need you need, of course, to build your system and to understand your checklist and to understand what you need to include there. But if you don't have a place to review it, when you're going to do it. So that's the most important time block to maintain your organization, a review one. So don't forget about putting all those in your system.
Yeah, building the framework is 80% of the battle, I think. Just put something in place. I think being intentional is something that's like really undervalued. Like a lot of we're used to having tools that just kind of solve problems for us, but with your productivity, with the way you're planning your week, I think if you can sit down and think about how do you really want your week to go and take control of it and be intentional about the system that you're going to create and use methods like this, like time blocking and day theming, you can really take back the control. And I think that's what some people are missing, is just sort of, where do I even get started? So yeah, I think that's really good advice.
Power. Like, you understand more about the system and what it needs when you are constantly follow up and checking in with what you're doing. That's the same for everything in your life. If you have a plant, you need to check in and water it up and fertilize it. If you have a relationship, you need to check in, send messages, see how it goes. Yeah. It's the same with a system. You need to create it and you need to review it. You need to see what it needs. And like for me, for example, I am a nerd with digital platforms. So I am always in beta tests and seeing how I can integrate it. So if you are a person like me, it's very cool when you are reviewing in it, because it's a commitment that you have with a system, and it's easier for you or not getting in those micromanaging things, or I will make my Todoist to be the best. When you have this commitment of reviewing your system daily, weekly, your system is going to grow anyway. You don't need to micromanage anything. So that's the most important block for me.
Awesome advice. All right, let's get to a couple questions. We have a lot coming in, actually, from a bunch of different avenues. So I will also tell you've been referred to as a productivity guru and many other great compliments. So people are really enjoying this. I think a lot of people are taking some very practical advice from this. So awesome so far. So one of the questions came in. I'm going to read this directly. So sometimes I feel time blocking works better for entrepreneurs rather than full-time employees, where a lot of times we don't have much room in our schedules to have blocks. Any thoughts on this for Gabriella?
Yeah, let's see it. I think time blocks, when you have a dynamic routine, it's hard to see that you have time blocks. And when you work, for example, with a person that works with clients, like a psychologist, or a person that is always interrupted because he needs to give something to the client, it's hard to see those limited time to do tasks because you are always responding. And there are some jobs, the nature of the work is responding. And of course, time blocking is more, you are acting not in the reactive mode, you are acting in the active mode. That's how time block works. So when you have this full-time employees that they need to see how applying time blocks, it's when you are doing the work, try to batch the things that you do in the same context. That's the first thing. When you do things in the same context, like replying emails, or even what time do your clients reach more to you, or that your manager needs more things to you, those are signs of what you can do in time blocking. And when it doesn't work for the time blocks of the day, you can think about day theming only for your personal life. It helps a lot because it's not only for work. You can get advantage for that if you use for your personal life. I've worked with nurses, for example, that have such a dynamic routine and they don't know what is going to happen during the day. But when they start to analyze what they have, they find some similar tasks that they can do in a period of the day. Like all of those similar tasks I would do during the morning, or I would do during the afternoon. So it's not very precise what I am presenting here, but it's a way to use it. So in organization, I always think that it's super important to analyze how your day goes to understand what it works for you, because it's different for everyone. And in your schedule, if you don't have much room for half blocks, analyze what you have and understand how those can be combined into blocks. I think that's about it.
It makes perfect sense. Yeah, like you could even think about. I think you're the expert, not me, but my based on what you're saying, it's like you could even think about your workday as one big time block. Like you have an 8-hour block of work where you're going to do a bunch of similar tasks, but there's 24 hours in the day, and maybe you're going to sleep for 8, and you're still left with 8 that you could block out for other things that are similar, instead of spending those 8 hours frivolously doing lots of things with no plan. So, and I think I would love to know your opinion. Like, so let's say you work in an office where you're responding to, emails, you have team meetings, you have calls coming in from clients or from third parties, whatever. I think it would be feasible to do something where you're like, okay, during these 2 hours in the morning, I'm going to respond to emails, but I'm not going to respond to phone calls. I'm going to try to get to inbox 0. And then, so I'll let calls go to voicemail, and then I'll return calls during the next 2 hours, but I won't answer emails during those 2 hours. Does something like that work for people in the office, you think?
Yeah, totally. Yeah? Okay. Like, I think I am one of those persons that use periods as time blocking, because I live in California and my clients are in Brazil. So I wake up, things are already happening, like everyone. Yeah. So if I wake up and see my WhatsApp, it's crazy. It's already a lot of things there to solve it. So what I do is that I prefer to use my mornings for answers, responses, clients, things like that. And during the afternoon, I don't do this anymore. I just close everything that I need to do. So if you are in the office and you see that your clients reach out during the morning, and that have kind of a demand during the afternoon with the team, trying to understand, so I do meetings during the afternoon and I respond emails during the morning. So it's a way of doing it, and I think that works.
That's great. That's great. A fellow Portuguese speaker and friend of mine that I know is joining, Gonzalo, mentioned that he is from Portugal, but he said, so how often do you rethink your routines and structure?
How often? I like to do that every quarter. I normally work, like my students know that I'm a big fan of astrology. I studied astrology for years, and I organize my days with the movement of the moon and Mars and things like that, and the nature. So every season I am reviewing my routines, because every season is different. Like now, the summer hour, it's done. The day is already shorter. And in 1 month, the day is going to finish at 5. What I mean that I don't have sun. If we don't have sun anymore at 5, and I want to do a soup and go to sleep. Yeah. That's what I'm going to do at 5 o'clock. You know that, right? So what I do is every season, I adjust my routine accordingly to the weather and the nature, because my body feels it. I'm part of the universe. So I organize to be part of it. That's how I do it. So every 3 months.
That's great. So you have a system for readjusting your system.
Exactly. We need to, right?
Yeah. Systemize it all.
Every year I do a reviewing on the system to understand if I need to include anything else. Like Todoist is very solid. My reviewing there is like being constantly growing, but now I have more people on the team, and I've been using the business tool. So I am thinking about going to Todoist. So this year I reviewed, because I included more processes with people on the team and the inbox. I included some rules to use the inbox. So those kind of things that you need to do. And I try every year to declutter and make it work for the plans that come in the next year.
Great. That's perfect. So a couple questions. We'll finish up here in just a minute. There's a lot of questions we could get to, but we've promised our viewers we're going to try to keep these somewhat short and sweet. So, but there's lots that we could pick from. But someone asked something very practical here. You showed earlier that you had subtasks that you don't have to check off. Just technically speaking, can you share how you create that so others can mimic that?
Sure. Like when you do a task that is non-completed and you included, for example, this one.
Here we can make this the focus screen real quick. We'll bring that up for everybody.
It's appearing.
There we go.
Cool. So when you include an asterisk just at the beginning, it turns, oh, no. Wait. I need a space over here, right? Then. So included an asterisk with a space, and this become a non-completed task. So every time that you do this, when you're adding a task, I think it's a good option because sometimes there is an accident and these tasks are not marked as a recurrent task, and then you mark it as appeared. It's a good way of showing that because if it appears without a non-completed task, it doesn't give you this pressure of needed to complete it.
Yeah, that's important.
When you are forming the habit and when you are forming the routine, of course, it's important to have it because it's a trigger. And you need this trigger, you need the routine, and you need the reward to follow the behavior and to include the behavior in your system, right? But when it's a habit, you don't need it anymore because then it turns out to be a pressure. So it's very, very subtle, but it's a way that you can have less information in your system, because my concern, and I've been seeing that with a lot of people that I work with, a lot of people have this to-do list with 20 tasks, and this is impossible.
Well, that's a really nice segue to a question that somebody's just asked here that I think is important to cover. So when your today list is just overwhelming, you just dread, you don't even want to open Todoist because there's just too many. There's too many tasks in there. You've been procrastinating and you don't want to be beat up about it by yourself. So what advice would you give somebody who's constantly finding themselves in that situation?
If you are finding yourself in this situation, like I am a minimalist, I am an essentialist, so I tend to tell people, review your list of the day, because if you have a big list for your day, probably you are not doing an organization for a bigger period. When you organize your thinking about the macro and the micro, I always show this figure. You know the matryoshka?
Oh, yeah.
That you have a lot of tools and a lot of dolls inside. So I like this image because if you think about the matryoshka, that is a doll, that you have another one inside, and then another one inside. Think about that as you're planning. If you have a list and your day has only 24 hours and you include everything in this day, it's going to be overwhelming. So that's why you plan for the week. That's why you plan for the month. And when you do that, then your list can be with the most important things for the day. So normally when you have a today list full of tasks, probably it's because you are planning from the micro to the macro. And we need to do the opposite. We need to organize for life to understand what we have in the day. And not organize for the day, imagine that we're going to conquer life. It's not like that. So when you are seeing your list overwhelmed, think about on how to distribute in more time.
Yeah, that's going to stick with me, and I imagine that everybody watching this is feeling very similar. That analogy will stick with me for a really long time. So thank you. That really puts things in perspective. I think I love that, cool. And we're getting positive feedback from people as well too. And I would just add to it. I think starting one way to start can sometimes be just a reset. I mean, just, if you're finding this is a problem that you have, I think come back to, again, thinking about how you can take hold of your productivity and input a system that's going to work for you. Maybe it's one of these that Gabriela's mentioned today. Maybe it's another, but get intentional about that, come up with a system and then start fresh. And if maybe it's day theming and you say, okay, I'm gonna implement day theming starting on Sunday, and I'm gonna map out the rest of the month with daily themes for my weeks, and see if that works for you, and try that. And don't beat yourself up. There's no scoreboard at the end telling you failed or didn't fail. This is all it's mostly you putting the pressure on yourself. So remove that pressure and just try to come up with a solution that works for you.
Exactly. And Lee, like, to do is it's to be an ally. It's not to be enemy that you see that list and say, I wanna make bad things with you. You're not gonna conquer this list, you know? So it's not like that. It's an ally. So even when you are programming the karma, I see a lot of people programming the karma to complete 10 tasks a day. Leave your karma light. Put that your goal is to complete 3 tasks a day, because then you're gonna see, oh, I completed my tasks. It's like doing a gamification in your to-do-list. So if you put 10, maybe it's too much. So and you have the satisfaction of complete instead of having the frustration of changing that to another day.
It's a great point. I think this is a perfect spot to wrap it up with, and I would love if you'd, not to put you on the spot on live camera, but if you'd come back and do this again with us, Gabriella. I think the enthusiasm from the people watching is really, really high, and so I'm sure there's a lot more we could get into. We could sit here and answer questions for another hour, but this has been really, really great, and I personally learned a lot. I'm going to tweak my time blocking system a little bit, and I know some others here will too. If there's any last points you want to make, anything you want to share, and of course, please also do tell people where they can find you and follow your work, and if they can contact you, how they should go about doing that.
Nice. So to sum up, I think it's important when you are using time block, it's important to understand that it's about building routines and about building habits. So start with a different routine every month and see how it goes. Otherwise, you're gonna include 10 new blocks in your routine. And if you don't keep up with that, you can be frustrated. So start small. Start with a new routine every month. Include that on your to-do list. See how it goes. See how it matches with your new routine, with your old routine, and be patient with that. That's organization needs patience. So that's the thing that I wanna tell you. Of course, thanks for being here, and a lot of my students are here. Thank you so much. And
I see that.
I hope to see you again. Like, people, ask those on
Where can people follow you? Where is there a web? What's the best place? Which channel?
My website,
which outlet?
It's GabrielaBrasil.com. There you can find my blog. You can find my newsletter. I always send the most important content to my newsletter. And I am on YouTube. I am on Instagram, Twitter. So go to GabrielaBrasil.com and you will find all my channels there. And we'll be happy to meet you in my web, in my community.
In the network, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
That's great. That's great. Well, yeah, thank you so much again for everybody watching. Thank you for tuning in. We will have a live version of this living on our YouTube channel, so you can go there and always find the recording. And I'll send out an email tomorrow with a link to that and more details on the next Todoist office hours, which will be towards the end of October. We're going to have Mike Vardy back, the productivityist, and we're excited to have him back. So we will definitely get Gabriella back, Ed, because there's obviously a lot more we need to dig into. So thanks again, Gabriella. Thank you all for stopping by, and we hope to see you in the next office hours.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Bye, Gabriella. Thanks.
Bye.